So right at the start, I was very lucky. There was a lot happening in theatre. Artistically, it was my writing career started on the cusp between the established writers, Noel Coward, Terence Rattigan, and of course the two American greats, Miller and Tennessee Williams. So all these were already in existence when I started writing. But then a few years before, I think it was about a year before I started really, the new wave, so-called, came in with Osborne and all the new Pinter, Wesker, N.F. Simpson, and there was another wave of drama coming in from the continent as well with Ionesco, Pirandello. So I was caught in three quite powerful cross currents artistically. So at that point, and this was late 50s, there was also afoot in England, a post-war, a very enlightened Labour government at the time who were trying to propagate the arts outside of London. And so they formed the Arts Council, which was funding for theatres and specifically for new writing. And I also got the benefit of that warm Atlantic current, if you like. So I was beginning to get, I joined a fringe theatre early on, run by a man called Stephen Joseph, who was very enlightened. He was the son of the publisher Michael Joseph and the well-known review artist and actress Hermione Gingold. So he had a very interesting mixed parentage, as it were. And his tenet was twofold. He wanted to form new sorts of theatre, and specifically theatre in the round, which was an art form totally unheard of back then. Of course, it was even further back quite an established art form, if you went back to the days of Shakespeare, of course. But all the proscenium arch theatres were big and costly and expensive, and he wanted to form low-cost theatre in the round with specific emphasis on new writing. So I just fell on my feet, really. Here I joined a theatre by accident, because my ambitions were to become an actor. And he was hell-bent on encouraging writing, but not writing, it was too expensive to pay writers' expenses to come in and write for us. He wanted them within the company. So at that point, he encouraged anyone who was working in the theatre, and I was a stage manager at the time, wanting to be an actor. But he encouraged us all, box office manager, me, to write. Right back to the principle of the writer within the theatre doing a valid job of work, rather than the rather more cursed writer in residence, where the guy sits in a room with a typewriter and everybody else is working their socks off and keeps opening the door and saying, "How are you doing?" And the person, it looks pale and saying, I've just written a page. But if you're working in the theatre and doing, I was rigging lamps and sound equipment and doing a day's work. And so I was writing on the side. And writing specifically for myself as an actor.